What's up guys? So today it's Sunday in the UK, it's pretty windy outside but there's some surf and you're coming with me. I said a while ago I was going to review the Stump board that I did an unboxing for previously, and today is going to be that day, but I'm going to do it slightly differently. We're going to go for a surf and then tonight I'll have a chat with you guys and say what my thoughts and impressions are given that I've now surfed it a few times. Oh, that was going to be a really cool ending too. Take two, let's go. Normally I'd probably take this one, but given that I'm going to review this today and I've committed to it, I'll be taking just this board. Let's go. A few people asked on the review / unboxing video on how to wax these bad boys, or if they should wax these bad boys. The answer is yes. They're super slippy on the parts I haven't waxed, and they're super slippy if you haven't waxed any of it. What wax to use? Just normal wax. So I don't have a board sock for this thing yet, so what I've been doing so far is using like my changing towel, just turn it the other way around. Doesn't cover the whole thing, but definitely keep most of the wax off the car. For those questioning though, you can get board socks which do fit. Short, soft top, fun board, whatever you want to call them board. This is a rocket board that I got. It's like, you can see that kind of a bat tail design. I'll get a review up on that board actually on the channel at some point. It's quite a fun little thing. Shit, just remember my inserts are cooking at the moment. These are essential, particularly when filming cold water. They stop your GoPro misting up basically. Still on the old school Hero 3 unfortunately. I've just been setting everything up. I've actually changed my settings to 1080p at 60 frames a second. Trying to do some slow-mo style footage today, see how it goes. As you can see, it's flipped, ready for the mouth mount. Just driving to my dad's, as he's going surfing too, so he'll be driving, but I have to drive to his first. Let's get going. I'll see you when we're there.
Feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I breathe. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight,
Beautiful. About what I just saw. Oh, it's alright that. I think that'll be fun. Not exactly big, but it's.
I'll tell you what, the only annoying thing is not quite on the low side.
So guys, I'm back home now. Pretty fun day in the surf actually. It's a lot of conditions I really enjoy. although they probably weren't the best to show you how this board surfs. It was a bit closey outy. I have surfed this board though in more running surf before though, so I feel like I'm in a good place to give you an idea of how it surfs. in a variety of conditions, if anything, and I promise that I will try and get this board out again with the GoPro in my mouth when we have some more runny surf, so I can actually show you how it turns and stuff, because it handled pretty well when I did that, and I think it'd make a good little point of view video. So you know the drill, subscribe to the channel if you want to see any future videos, and that will be one of the many future videos to come, no doubt. Review wise, I'm not going to compare it to other types of surfboards simply because I'm not lucky enough to have surfed loads of different types of surfboard. Instead, I'm going to give you more of my view on how it felt to surf to me. So whilst this is sort of like subjective opinion on how it felt to me, which is obviously going to differ from person to person, from surf to surf, depending on your foot placement, how choppy the surf is, but hopefully it gives you some sort of idea on how the board surfs. You've seen the session I've just got back out of, and like I say, will get some future footage up so you can see how it goes in other surf. So the first thing I want to say is it feels quite loose, particularly the few points once I'd turned out of some closeout waves and I was in the mush. When I put my foot forward onto the front of the board, the back end was super loose, which was quite a nice feeling actually. If you were in big surf and you really wanted it to hold, that wouldn't be cool, but I wasn't in big surf. I wouldn't use this board in big surf, and when I was wanting it to hold, when I was doing bottom turns and pulling into waves, it was holding pretty well actually. So whilst it was loose when you transferred your weight forward, the quad fins definitely held in quite nicely when you wanted them to. And one of the most obvious things I noticed, maybe not this time because the rides weren't quite as long, but when I had it in more runny surf previously, the board's actually really fast, like way faster than my proper shortboard stuff in this small type of surf, which is probably more suited to this board than those. Obviously a combination of quite a wide chunky tail, a decent amount of volume for what is quite a short board, and the quad fins all combining to give that speed. One thing I did find on that note though was I couldn't personally pump the board too well. Certainly like when I'm out on those boards, my shortboard style boards, I can pump the board to get extra speed, whereas on this it didn't really gain much. I found that I got much more speed from just holding my rail line and waiting for the rails to engage and the fins to engage, and then once they had, it would then go. Much more so than if I was trying to generate the speed artificially. Maybe that's just to do with the technique I was using and the way I was surfing. I seem to remember seeing some of the pros who are on the Catch Surf team pumping these boards. It does make sense when you look at the fins and stuff that they probably won't pump as well as paddle ability is a big point for me with surfboards. I've only got skinny arms to the point where it's hurting to hold this camera up now. Good paddling is something I look for in a board. This board has very similar volume to, you see that board right there? Which is like 6'3", I think, 6'3.5", 6'2.5", around that point anyway. It's got very similar volume to the Catch Surf, which is a hell of a lot shorter than that. So as you expected, the volumes are fairly similar. It wasn't too bad a paddler, to be honest. Certainly not what you'd expect from a board so small anyway. I would say it's a while since I've rode that board back there, so it's really hard for me to give an honest and direct comparison, because I'm probably pretty unfit at the moment. My arms certainly won't be as fit as they were a lot of time when I was surfing that bad boy. But it didn't feel too bad. It felt probably slightly worse. I'm talking paddle outs here, and today wasn't a great day to test that either because it was a shore break, so it was kind of just little short spurts of paddling. I did find I was getting tired really quick though, so I want to say it was slightly harder to paddle, which would make sense because even with the similar volume, like with your feet and legs trailing, it's an extra thing to sort of pull through the water. Is my logic on it anyway, whereas on a longer board your whole body's going to be out, so to me it makes sense that it's probably slightly worse at paddling. The other type of paddling is obviously paddling into waves and to catch waves. I didn't find myself having any problem catching waves. Even though the wind was pretty strong offshore today, I found myself getting into them alright. I was expecting to get stood up and blown off the back, and whether it was down to the wind or the shorter board being difficult to paddle, I did find myself getting into waves very late. But I nevertheless was getting into them, and it wasn't so late that the wave had run off with me. Even though it was quite shore breaky, I was managing to get up and get a rail engaged, and the fact it was so short sort of helped with getting into the waves really late, I found as well. Sort of when I was getting up late, I was still managing to find time to pull down into the wave. So yeah, thumbs up on that, to be honest. Get it in view of the camera. I'm doing it down here so you guys can't see it. Pretty pointless. What I would say as well is if it did lack anything in paddle power, it probably made up for it in duck diving ability. It felt easier to duck dive than my longer boards. I certainly didn't find myself getting sucked back as much either when it was a late duck dive through a hollow wave. I think coming from my background of bodyboarding for most of my childhood, this board felt really familiar and nice to duck dive. It's a bit wider than my other short boards. It's a bit shorter. It felt like you can manhandle the board under the water and control it better where you want it to go. So it felt easier to duck dive, which obviously takes less toll on your arms, even if the paddling maybe takes a bit more. As I said, not today as such, but I've certainly had no problems with this board doing turns in the past. I find that maybe it's not as responsive, it's not as quick to go into a turn, but once they are, it turns like on a dime is probably the best way to put it. It turns really sharp and quick. On the backhand it was maybe a bit different. Maybe then rather than like snapping turns, it was quite more drawn out on the backhand. So it turns different to a short board. As long as you surfed with it rather than trying to do what you want, and as you were doing what the wave wanted and what the board wanted, it was pretty damn good on the turn front. Forehand, like not snappy turns, but they're very tight arc turns. Almost a snap performed in a cutback type of style, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I know what I mean in my head. Hopefully it'll help when I get this point of view video up in the future and you guys can actually see what it turns like. That is obviously something which is going to differ from person to person, so, but it did turn is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I've had my rocket that I showed you guys earlier in the video. I struggled to turn that in the same way that I would a normal board at all because of the type of board it is and the fins in it and the thickness of it, whereas this definitely had some ability to turn and perform cutbacks and stuff. Even for just your average surfer like me, it's not just the pros in the catch surf videos that can do proper surfing with it. One thing I did find is that if I went for like a floater to finish the wave off, the board kind of I found went off the back of the wave more than what my short boards would do. You had to make more of a concerted effort to turn back into the wave to finish the move off. Whereas on my short boards, the momentum of it kind of follows it round and back in. I assume that's a momentum type of thing due to the size of the board, because as I say, the volume is actually probably more volume in it than these front two boards. Maybe it's just a me surfing thing and it's something I just need to get used to a different board. As I say, I've still only surfed this board a handful of times now, but in a variety of conditions now. But yeah, I certainly found this board really fun, to the point where I think I will be surfing it a lot more, possibly more than these guys. In the Shory today in particular, it was so fun and it was so nice not having to worry about a big 6-foot chunk of fiberglass come round and hit you in the head when you're wiped out. But not only was it safer, there was a couple of waves which they probably won't come out too well on the GoPro because it wasn't that hollow, and I know it has to be pretty hollow for the barrels to come out quite well, but on the backhand where I'd managed to grab the rail and just pull into a closeout, and it was really fun for that. And I love surfing shore breaks in that sort of way, so it's going to be great for that. I don't surf point breaks particularly much, despite our coast having loads. I surf more beach breaks. I think it'd be a really fun board for those, particularly for the height of surf I find myself in loads. So I think I'll probably end up using it more than these, certainly at the moment, while it's still a novelty to me anyway. Anyway guys, that's all I've really got to say for the board for now. If you guys have any more questions, as I'm sure people will if they're wanting to know how this board surfs, drop us a question in the comments below. I'd more than happily help people out with my thoughts and opinions on it. And as I say, it's only my thoughts and opinions, and we all have different surfing styles, but I can certainly give you what I thought of the board anyway, and hopefully that'll guide you somewhat in whether to make the jump and purchase one of these boards. As I say, in the future I will be uploading a point of view video of this in a different type of surf when it's more turn friendly, shall we say. So if you want to see that, whack that circle button right there and that will subscribe you to my channel for free, so you can see that when it goes live. Alternatively, if you want to see a previous video, rack that wet what? Yo, rack that wet what? Yo, rack that wet what? Alternatively, if you want to see a previous video, whack that rectangle up there and that will link you to a previous video when I first unboxed this board a few months ago. Thank you very much for watching this video guys, and I hope to see you in the future. Cheers, bye.